Okay, it's time for the aviation report with Richard Kaplan, cleared for takeoff. And Richard has a lot of important information on the MAX 8 and 9 Boeing plane that went down in Ethiopia, the second plane in 5 months. And a lot more information came out this week on the story. And Phyllis and Richard on the latest information.
Absolutely, Howie. First of all, good evening to all my viewers out there and all aviation lovers out there. Once again, my condolences to the victims' families in these two crashes. As always, this is for you. I hope it brings you closure. This week, a lot of new information has surfaced in the investigation of both Lion Air Flight 610 and Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302, both of them Boeing 737 MAX 8s. What the crashes had in common, first off, before I even get to that, no other commercial aircraft has been implicated in as many fatalities so rapidly since 1966 as these two crashes have. I just want to put that out there in case there are anyone into trivia. Lion Air, we lost 189 passengers. In Ethiopian 302, we lost 157. What both of these crashes had in common, both planes hit trouble just after takeoff. Pilots reported flight control problems. Controllers observed erratic up and down flight patterns. What looks to have gone wrong? Evidence suggests a safety failure called the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, or MCAS, sent both planes into their fatal dives as pilots struggled to keep aloft. Boeing installed the software in planes without fully informing regulators or pilots about how it works. This is critical. Now, one of the things that you may have heard if you've read the New York Times, the Times has been all over this, and I want to commend the New York Times for that. They have shown such interest in these tragedies. Not that the others haven't, but they have really uncovered some interesting facts that others seem to have ignored or not noticed. Optional equipment that should have been standard on this aircraft. Boeing offered 2 upgrades that were related to the plane's AOA, which is angle of attack sensors, devices that read whether a jet's nose is pointing up or down. One upgrade, called the angle of attack indicator, displayed the sensor's readings. The other upgrade is a light that is activated if sensors interfere with each other. The disagree light alone cost $80,000, according to CBS. The jet's list price is roughly $120 million. Actually, it's $125. These features are considered optional and aren't required by most airline regulators. But according to the New York Times report, they could have helped the plane's pilots realize something was amiss earlier, and some flight safety experts say they never should have been optional in the first place. Now, to give you some insight into just how important this is, we know that in the crash of Ethiopian, the plane flew for 6 minutes before crashing. Had these optional equipment been installed, it could have bought these pilots valuable time, more time, not only to diagnose the problem, but possibly even correct it. Meaning, these crashes possibly might not have happened. I am not saying with certainty that's the case, but if you are an airline pilot and you have a sensor that's actually telling you that the AOA is inaccurate, you're going to be more focused on fixing the AOA and focused on the MCAS than on the other systems. This would save you time and, more importantly, save you from possibly having to go through a flight manual that may or may not even have the system in it. These features now, they are critical and cost almost nothing to install, according to analyst Bjorn Fairhorn from aviation consulting firm Lehman. They are vital for safety. Of the 3 U.S. airlines that have 737 MAX 8s and 9 jets in their fleet, only 2, American and Southwest, paid for these upgrades, according to the New York Times. A United Airlines spokesperson told the Times that its jets don't include these upgrades because its pilots use other data to fly their planes. According to the Times report, Boeing also charges for things like backup fire extinguishers in the cargo hold, another feature the FAA considers optional. This despite past incidents showing that a single extinguisher system isn't enough to put out air fires. Also, according to the Times reporting, airlines have paid for items like extra oxygen masks for crew members. Mark Goodrich, an aviation lawyer and former engineering test pilot, told the Times that charging extra for non-mandatory safety features has become a great profit center for Boeing. Now, once again, last week I brought up a simple acronym: people before profit. Is Boeing putting profit before people? I can't say that, and I will not say that. That is for you to decide. But what you've seen and what you've heard are renowned media outlets reporting what may be fact. If it is proven to be fact, this is a very serious situation we're looking at. We should not be cutting corners for profit on safety. Safety is the most important factor in aviation. Without it, we would have planes falling out of the sky at a rate that would make your head spin. We need to do this right. We need to send a clear message to the manufacturers and, more importantly, to the airlines that money is no object when it comes to human life. I have here a statement from the president of Boeing that was in the New York Times just this week. I've highlighted two key points that he makes. One is their dedication. It is basically their mission. Work is progressing thoroughly and rapidly to learn more about the Ethiopian Airlines accident and understand the information from the airline's cockpit voice and flight data recorders. Our team is on site with investigators to support the investigation and provide technical expertise. The Ethiopia Accident Investigation Bureau will determine when and how it's appropriate to release additional details. In addition, a lot of people want to know, when will these fixes be ready? Well, I got news. Soon we will release a software update and related pilot training for the 737 MAX that will address concerns discovered in the aftermath of the Lion Air 610 accident. Most important, I want to educate you on what Boeing's mission statement is, because every corporation has a mission. This is Boeing's. Our mission is to connect people and nations, protect freedom, explore our world and the vastness of space, and inspire the next generation of aerospace dreamers and doers. And we will fulfill that mission only by upholding and living our values. That's what safety means to us. Together, we'll keep working to earn and keep the trust people have placed in Boeing. Sincerely, Dennis Muhlenberg, Chairman and President and CEO of the Boeing Company. Boeing's statement indicates to me they are indeed committed to fixing the problem, and they are doing everything in their power to make sure this never happens again. I believe strongly that what may have happened here, and this is just a theory, please do not take this serious, this is only a theory, is that it is no secret that Boeing and American have always had an historical partnership. American has flown Boeing airplanes for as long as I can remember. In the early 2000s, like around 2012, it was no secret that American was eyeing a massive order with Airbus, a major order. Boeing caught wind of this, and obviously, with their reputation of being American's sole manufacturer, fought to change this. The result was the Boeing 737 MAX. The MAX proved to be the answer to American's medium to short range fleet, which was in dire need of replacement. The 737-800NG, which is currently in service and is representative of the backbone to this fleet, is a remarkable airplane and a very safe one. The MAX was to make this even more revolutionary. With engines that are 14% more fuel efficient, that could save airlines massive amounts of money. In addition, the aircraft would have a new type of wing with scimitar winglets, and more importantly, be technologically advanced. This is not wrong to do. In an industry that is constantly upgrading and changing, airlines and manufacturers are jockeying to build the very best airplanes possible. That's what we want, that's what we demand. What Boeing did was simply improve upon a design that has already existed. Was it necessary? Given the amount of money at stake, I believe it was. I believe that Boeing made the right choice. American is a major airline. It is the world's largest airline. Following the acquisition of US Airways, American inherited a massive fleet of Airbus aircraft. It is no secret that if you ask most pilots out there, Boeing has the reputation. They've been doing this for over 100 years. Airbus came to the surface in the early 70s as a European consortium of companies. You can't compare the two, is what I'm saying. Reputation is everything in this business. The future of the 737 MAX, in my opinion, is a bright one, and I'm going to tell you why. Yes, we have 2 crashes, but if you look at aviation history, if you look at the history of aviation, new airplanes have always tended to have gremlins. A classic case in point was the Airbus A320. When it was first developed, it utilized computers to inform the pilot of terrain as well as various forms of flight. In one such example, an A320's computer system took control over the airplane and wound up crashing it into the woods, killing the pilot and people on board. This was a mistake that was very quickly corrected, and today, more and more A320s traverse the sky each and every day. Another example is the de Havilland Comet, the world's first jet-propelled airplane. The Comet was not without its faults. When it first came out, the Comet had an unknown design flaw. The windows were square and allowed air to penetrate the fuselage, causing slow decompression and the planes to crash. A series of high-profile crashes led de Havilland to discover this and change the design. Following the change, the airplane flew perfect and revolutionized travel as we know it. In aviation, it's all about baby steps. We learn from our mistakes, unfortunately. Sadly, it takes crashes like this for us to move forward and get it right the next time. We should not fault a company for innovation, for trying to innovate and trying to create a product that they believed was revolutionary. One theory that has also surfaced is the relationship Boeing has with the FAA. It is no secret they're very cozy with one another. I'm not saying the FAA is complacent. I will never say that. What I am saying is that in the coming weeks, the United States Senate will converge on hearings with Boeing. These hearings will hopefully provide valuable information for the public as to how the certification process goes about. Was this plane certified too quickly? That is a very good question. The FBI is asking it. And for the FBI and the Department of Justice to get involved, clearly there is something there. I'm not faulting Boeing. I will never fault Boeing. That is not my job. My job is to make sure that these airplanes are safe enough to fly. My job is to make sure that the money you pay to fly on a commercial jet is worth it. In the end, that's what it's all about. Providing safe travel for passengers. That's their mission. Well, your mission obviously is to do such. My question of the day, I asked this to Boeing execs, and I hope that if they are watching, they'll respond. Why did you charge for features that could very possibly have prevented this? What was the purpose? That's what I'd like to know, and I don't believe I'm alone. If we're going to get this right, we need to be a team, all of us. Your voice carries more power now than ever before. It elects presidents, it changes laws, and it also changes the way we live. I urge you to use your voice to make sure that the airline industry and the manufacturers build what they say they're going to build and get it right. You have that power, believe it or not. It's called money. When you fly on their airplanes, you're paying to essentially put your life in their hands. That's what I do, that's what we all do when we fly. We put our lives into the hands of the carriers to get it right. So I urge all the carriers out there, make sure that the planes you fly are as safe as you say they are. Make sure that the product you provide us is a good one. You're obligated, you're responsible, that's your job. My job is to make sure that you get it right, and I intend to do just that. Last week I touched on a passenger bill of rights. We desperately need this. Well, in my infinite wisdom, I've teamed up with an aviation expert by the name of A.L. Kashani, who you've seen on this show. Me and A.L. have decided together we are going to draft just that, a passenger bill of rights. Together, we're going to write up a series of legislation and pitch it to our congressmen in the hopes that you will be protected from future negligence and future mistakes. You have a right to be assured that what you pay for is what you get. And by golly, that's what we're going to do. Lastly, and most important, last week, Howie brought in a diagram showing exactly what these pilots dealt with. I once again want to illustrate. This is an angle of attack. When an airplane departs an airport, it will go into a climb. The pilot determines through his own choice what angle he or she wants to pitch this airplane. The MCAS was designed because the plane's engines were pitched slightly different than normal, causing an anomaly known as a center of gravity malfunction. The center of gravity was thrown off, causing the planes to pitch differently. MCAS is designed to correct that. There is a software fix already in the works, and I believe, in fact, may even be released as early as this week, that will fix the problem. I believe that once this fix is installed on all the 737 MAX airplanes grounded, the problem will hopefully be corrected and these planes rendered safe to fly. To Garuda Indonesia, so far the only airline to cancel its MAX order. I can't tell you what to do. You made this choice on your own. Do I agree with it? Personally, I don't. I think that you need to decide for yourself, is this plane what I want, before committing to it. You committed to 50 of the type. Obviously you saw something in it. That doesn't mean that something has gone away. I believe this airplane is very safe. I believe this airplane is very reliable. And I do believe that Boeing did get it right, except for a flaw. I believe that they pushed too hard to get it onto market. But besides that point, I believe that the plane is definitely safe, and I believe it's revolutionary. One other aspect I very quickly want to touch on, because I do not want to go on this forever, is training. A lot of people have been saying, how much training were these pilots given? Unfortunately, according to the New York Times, 2.5 hours on a laptop is pretty much the training they got. That's hardly enough. When you are upgrading an airplane, you're essentially changing flying characteristics, design characteristics, engine characteristics, and installing a new system. This system alone should have required training. So pilots of all airlines, regardless of what country they are from, are familiar with it. When you make a change like this, you need to educate the people operating it, the machine. Because in the end, that's what this is, a machine. And the pilot's its operator. We have to make sure they have all the information they need to operate properly. That is the mission of Boeing, that is the mission of Airbus, and that is the mission of every manufacturer that builds commercial jets. To make sure that your planes have everything required for a pilot to safely fly them. I thank you very much for watching this segment. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. My email address is on the YouTube page. I also have a Facebook page as well. If you have any questions or comments, I urge you to make them. It's your comments and questions that help me to get this right. We owe it to the victims. Thank you for watching, and God bless.
Okay, great job, Rich Kaplan.